From Rochester, New York, home of Jiva Theater, Genesee Brewery, and Waffles Are Wild, this is FC3 Monkey Business, your one-stop shop for everything geeky. And everything is geeky if you love it enough. Starring Billy DeTore, Tanya Metris, and Chris Frank. And your host for today will be me. The tall one has been taken hostage by Juno the Wonder Dog and Zoe the Fantastic Feline. They have demands for the return of C, which includes the podcast taken over by the women of NMC and Billy. So, here we go. I also, part of the ransom demand, they want treats.
I think we can handle that.
Can we handle that?
Yeah, we can make treats.
So, today with me I have Deanna Schulmerich.
Hello.
I have Ann Liebeck.
Hello.
And Billy.
Hi.
Hi.
Something is different than normal.
What's different than normal?
My voice is deeper. Usually there's a guy with a deeper voice.
I know. Well, we have Dan.
Oh. Hi, Dan. Hi.
So, as you guys can tell, Chris is not with us today. He is off gallivanting somewhere around New York State. We don't exactly know where he is. We're not privy to those plans. But he will be back the next time that we podcast. So, the women have taken over, and we're taking Billy hostage also.
Oh. Should I be tied up or something?
I think that's next time.
Okay.
I don't know.
My wife was supposed to be
Yes.
here. She has those supplies. Thank you. Good night. I'll be here all week.
Oh, Susan's going to yell at us.
No, she's not. No. Yes, we were supposed to have Susan DeTore with us today, but she is feeling a little under the weather, so we're sending lots of love out to her to make sure that she gets better soon, because I think...
Because I'm tired of doing stuff. Oh, was I not supposed to say that?
I don't know. You have to go home and live with her, so not me. So, what's up with you guys? What's going on? I know Deanna's got her Dale Jr. sweatshirt on over there.
Daytona 500 day.
So
Is that a big race?
it's kind of like you not knowing Fleetwood Mac.
Did they turn left?
Yeah, all 4 times. The only time they don't turn left is when they're at Watkins Glen.
Then it's
in Sonoma.
Yeah,
then it's left, right, left, right, left, 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 right, right, right.
Wow, right.
Mm-hmm.
So, are you rooting for anyone this year?
No, and that's the beautiful part. Now that I don't have a driver,
you can just sit
I
back and watch the crashes,
race, and I don't stress anymore. There's no worries. It's nice.
You ever played the crash drinking game?
Yeah. And doing it at Daytona, you're pretty much drunk by lap 50.
Yeah.
Just 50?
Well,
depends on the year.
Depends on the year. This year it could be lap 25. Who knows?
Oh. So who's the upcoming driver for this year?
They've actually had a big rookie class this year. There's 3 or 4 guys. Tyler Reddick, Christopher Bell, Cole Custer are the 3 big ones that came up this year. So we'll see. It's Jimmy Johnson's last year, so there's that.
Is he the one that's got the Trump 2020 car?
I don't think so. No.
Who's got the Trump 2020 car?
I have no idea.
That's racing it.
I haven't even seen that paint scheme.
He's going to crash.
And burn. But yeah, no,
and somehow still win.
Somehow, no, because anytime I jump on Twitter on the Twitter feed, I tell you, I am so not used to taking over. That I've seen a couple paint schemes and things like that have come through, and I don't know if it's just a parody
It could be a parody. I know that,
or if it's truly someone has got that paint scheme.
It's the greatest car ever. It's phenomenal. It's tremendous.
I actually saw somebody do the limo up and with a 45 on it with like racing stripes and all that. So I don't know.
Oh, it's the the Daytona Xfinity.
Huh. Oh, that was yesterday. So the Xfinity race was yesterday. I didn't see that. Of course, half the cars crashed in that one, so
maybe that was one that
crashed. Before heading west, taking Daytona.
Yeah, he's going to be there today.
Ian's my researcher today.
Google's my researcher.
Usually I'm doing that, so I don't have to Google stuff today.
Now that football's over, I got to find something to pass the time till
Well, it's geeky.
Baseball starts.
Everything's geeky if you love it enough, and I know you love it enough.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's baseball. How do you feel about the Houston Astros? The cheaters.
The way I look at it is, if they get thrown at this year, oh well.
Yeah.
You can't. I hate this. Well, they need to take stuff away. It happened. You can't. Don't tell me that a championship didn't happen when I sat there and watched it.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to get whatever's coming to them this year.
Yeah, they're going to get thrown out a lot. And if some network were smart, they'd show all 81 away games. Mm-hmm. Just because
they're going to be a hot road ticket this year for a change.
Mm-hmm. Bunch of cheaters, dirty, rotten cheaters.
Yeah.
Coming from someone that doesn't really watch baseball, I just heard about the scandal.
And poor Billy's team lost the manager because of the scandal.
That's right. Only the Mets could have a manager get fired before he's managed one game. He got fired a week after he was hired, basically.
So was he?
He was a player on the Houston Astros,
and the alleged ringleader of the scandal.
Allegedly.
Okay,
we have to make sure we put allegedly in there.
Yeah.
And then there's my brother's team. Loses. Not only the manager, but Mookie Betts and David Price. So he's great.
And your brother likes the Red Sox, right?
And my nephew likes the Yankees. So my nephew's, we got Garrett Cole. We're gonna kick your butt this year.
And he will.
So I was like, okay.
Okay, Anne, you look very fancy today.
Why, thank you. I was at a baptism.
Baptism?
Oh, yes, at a baptism. Yes, I'm like...
I can't hear you.
Yeah. What are you getting ready for? Cookie season.
Woohoo! I know, you've suckered me in. I mean, I graciously volunteered to go and help you pick up your 90 gazillion cases.
Only 94 cases for my troop.
Only. Is that a small number of cases?
No, actually, well, it's about average for our troop, but wait till you get there, though. You're going to love the mega cookie drop. We have 4 minutes to get 94 cases of cookies. That's because we're in lane 1, not lane 2, lane 1.
Lane 1.
There's 2 lanes going simultaneously, and based on how many number of boxes you have or cases you have, you
That's
get
how many
between
minutes?
2 minutes and 8 minutes to pick up all your cookies. It's very highly organized by all volunteers.
I can't imagine the smell inside that warehouse.
Cookies. Cardboard.
No, it just smells like Thin Mints. No matter what you do, it smells like Thin Mints.
Oh, I don't know if I can do it. Okay. And Billy?
Yes.
How's the new job?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's going good so far. I'm in training. I'm learning how to run a cash register, which I've never done before. Working at Record Archive now, which I love. It's one of my favorite places
to go.
One of my favorite places to shop. And is my phone ringing? No, I don't think so. I'm someone that likes routine. I like things being the same. And in the last week, I've started a new job. My wife isn't feeling well, and I feel all discombobulated. So I'm glad to be here because this
is your routine.
Yeah, this is normal. Although it's still in a different place than it used to be for years, but I'm glad to be here. So Thank you for having me. And
absolutely.
And I'm glad I'm here and not at the hospital today.
Yeah, well,
so, at least so far. If I need a ride, I'll let you know.
Actually, much love to Susan.
Yeah, let me check my phone. I want to make sure it really wasn't ringing. And I didn't miss any calls.
Okay, good.
Yay.
And mine's on silent.
I'm sure she'd message one of us if something was... Really
Dan was a little taken aback when my Avengers ringtone came off when Ann called me a little earlier.
I didn't know where it was coming from.
He thought he had something on his computer.
He's like, where's it coming from?
That the computer was blowing up.
It was coming from my pockets.
As opposed to the hum.
Does that mean I'm your Avenger?
Yes, you're my Avenger. Valentine, you're the best.
You're the best.
You're the best.
It's the only card I got for Valentine's Day this year because my husband bought it and he hid it in the barn so I wouldn't find it, and now I can't find it.
So maybe by your anniversary he'll find it.
And I only got chocolate from you.
See?
Yeah, there you go. We are Galentines. Okay, on that note, let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back and talk about everything 80's movies.
Woohoo!
Going Back to the Future? No, Back to the Past?
Back to the Future was the 80s.
So.
Yeah.
The 80s.
I don't know.
Which may be a spoiler!
Listen, you.
I had to take my earrings off because they are pinching. You're the host.
I am? Oh. I'm the host today?
You're the hostess with the mostest.
Oh, I tell you. And we are kind of going back in time, back to the decade that started on January 1st, 1980, and ended on December 31st, 1989. And we are going to look at our favorite movies from the 1980s. And you weren't even old enough to have lots of 80s movies references until in the 90s.
Yeah, I watched a lot of them in the 90s, even into the 2000s, because people were constantly referencing them to me, and I'd be like,
You're like, what are you talking about?
So, and I do have to admit, the last 3 to 4 years, I may have binged more 80 movies than a lot of other things.
I used to go to movies all the time in the 80s. I graduated from high school in 83, so that was my I've probably saw
prime of
almost every movie of the 80s. When I looked through lists just to pick, and the list was tremendous, and I love that movie. Oh, I love that. Oh, I hated that movie. But I'd seen almost all of them in theaters. Or at least on HBO shortly, like in its first HBO run.
I remember The Wearing. Anybody remember The Wearing?
Oh, I do too.
Yeah.
I know. No, well, as I said, no, I can't, because remember, I grew up in Avon, Lima area. Like when we went to the city, it was Marketplace Mall. So it wasn't really the city, but my mom calls it the city. But Billy and I were talking on the way over today about where we saw movies, and he was like the Cine 1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4 in Greece. Westmar on Buffalo Road.
I remember Westgate Movie Theater.
Westgate, yep. On
Stonebridge Plaza, which is now a Rochester Athletic Club for women.
Yep. I saw a movie
whereas
it was bad.
I saw movies at that standalone theater at Marketplace Mall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and then,
that's where I saw Robin Hood.
Then
Kevin Costner.
That was 90s.
Yep.
And then I don't know, Billy didn't know this one, but the Pittsford Cinemas.
There was 2 of them.
It's not where they are now. They were across the street.
There was 2 of them.
There was 2 of them.
I lived in the city. They didn't let me in Pittsburgh.
And
I needed paperwork.
Really?
Uh-huh. Yep, really.
We are so off the rails. Okay, so it's we have different experiences with 80s movies and things like that, and I know that we said our top 5, and Deanna, when we were talking earlier this week, you said you had 75 initially.
Initially, I had 75 movies.
And you're the only one out of the 4 of us that actually narrowed it down to 5.
Well, I had to, because this is only, an
hour long,
couple hour podcast at the most,
The thing is, you can tell this is important to us because we all wrote stuff down.
Right.
My initial list, I think it has like 24, 25, and I did narrow it down. I thought the 5. Turns out I only put little stars next to 4 of them. So I have a top 4. I'm going to pick a 5 off the top of from my list.
And Susan has...
Yeah, and Susan, my wife Susan was ready to come. She was all prepared, and I have her top 5 also.
The 80s is our wheelhouse. That's the really, I was born in the 70s. I remember some stuff from the 70s, but the stuff that's kind of influenced me the most was the 80s, because that was, it was a preteen and a teenager. I graduated from high school. It's the stuff that you remember going, yeah, this is where I was. I remember this. I remember that around certain things.
It's sort of my process for picking these, and I kept moving them around, and okay, I'm going to take this one out and put this one in, and blah, 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 is a combination of my initial reaction to it in the 80s and sort of how I felt back then, how much I loved it, because some stuff doesn't hold up. Mm-hmm. And sort of a combination of my initial reaction and going back to it. Is it still a good movie? Mm-hmm. When I watch it, do I still really enjoy it, or does it just feel dated and terrible?
That's kind
some
of what
of
I
them,
did too.
Yeah.
I went through it several times, and like some of the ones that really like brought the feelings to me were like the ones that my dad used to take me and my little sister to when my mother was taking my older sister Girl Scout camping for weekends, and he had nothing to do with us. But then I'm like, I love those movies then because it was, dad time. But now it's, even though it holds a place, it doesn't, I wouldn't want to go back and watch it now every day.
Yeah, like I made a list for work a bunch of years ago, my favorite movies of all time. And one of them was from the 80s, and it didn't make my 5 favorite movies because, to me, there's a difference between the best movies and your favorite movies. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do the Right Thing with Spike Lee, one of the greatest movies of the 80s. Not my top 5 favorite movies, though. Not the ones I'll revisit and I'll see it on my DVD shelf and pull it off and watch it just because I feel like it.
And on my list, it was the kind of thing, okay, what are the 5 movies that whenever they're on TV, you stop what you're doing and watch them?
Yes.
And that was one of the requirements. And all, the 5 I have, every time they're on, it's like I stop what I could be watching something important, but if I see it's on.
I'd be curious to see how well that D's and my lists kind of compare because we're of the same age. We're only a year apart. Anne's list will probably be a little different than ours, but then I think Billy's might be completely opposite from us. I'm not 100% certain.
Yeah, but there's a couple complete 80s classics on my list. There may be a little bit of overlap.
I'd be curious to see how it is. And then this morning on Facebook, I saw that Dan was watching War Games, so I don't know if that was on his list.
That's on my list of 25.
Yeah, it's on my list, too, of my 20-something. War Games was the one that came out that it was one that's like global thermonuclear war type thing. It's just...
I know there's some really, really good ones that the 80s movies that you guys really, really liked, but in the last 5 years for me has killed me. Just dance recitals, singing and dancing to these songs over and over and over again.
Would Footloose be in there?
Oh my God, yes. Oh my God.
That's Dirty Dancing?
No, that's classic.
I was going to say Footloose is on my top 7, whatever, but it's not in my top 5. But it's one that makes me get... I was dancing through my classroom on Friday when I was talking about Footloose.
We did the finale song, I think it was 3 years ago, and they did several songs from Footloose. And
oh goodness,
when you've listened to it for 5 days in a row, about 50 times, I was like, if I hear this one more time, I'm just going to...
And it's pretty much from September to June that you hear it because of the weekly dance class.
And the finale was actually the Footloose song, but they cut it from the 80s version all the way to the 2012 version. Ugh. And they did half and half. And oh my God, I was like, I can't take this anymore.
You're like, I can't.
Like during the finale, I would leave the auditorium.
And then you'd boo.
No.
So there was a giant minion dancing to Footloose, and I was like, I gotta go.
So we can honestly say Footloose is not in our top 5.
No.
It was in my top 20-something, but it's not in my top 5.
I had about 50, and I dwindled it down to about 20, and then I said, okay, I'm going to take it to 10 with 4 honorable mentions.
I put little dots next to my kind of like my top 5, but I like all of them on there that I might watch them again if they're on, but I have to be in the right mindset. So, Billy, you want to start?
Okay. Do you want me to go through Susan's top 5?
Yes, let's do.
I want to do Susan's top 5 just so I can get your reactions to them if you know them. Susan at number 5 had E.T. From whatever year that was. Number 4, Color Purple, which she loved. Moonstruck, she was just watching it the other night and laughing like crazy.
Love that movie.
Tootsie.
Is that on yours?
Yes, that's on my list.
Oh, it's on your list?
Yep.
Moonstruck is on Deanna's.
Okay, Tootsie was number 2. And her number 1 movie is Broadcast News with Holly Hunter.
I like that movie.
And Albert Brooks and William Hurt.
I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore.
Susan is a former CNN person, sort of lived that life.
Yes, she did.
We rewatched it the other night, and I enjoyed it, but I didn't love it. Tootsie, which I saw in its initial theater run, and I think I was too young for that at the time, because I remember, it's all right. I enjoyed it way more now than I did back in the 80s.
Susan can relate to Broadcast News.
Yeah.
She knows what that's like.
Yes. So those are her top 5, and I wanted to share them with you because she was supposed to be here. And so a couple of them are on your list, Deanna, maybe?
One of them is, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So what's your list, Billy?
Are we all going to do number 5s first?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Number 5 is the one I'm going to pull off the top of my head because I only put stars next to 4. So for my bigger list, I'm going to go with a movie that nowadays would look completely different, be way better technologically, but at the time was super groundbreaking. Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Oh my goodness.
Was that 80s?
Yeah, it was.
It was 1988.
That was in my top 25.
Yeah. So just funny, and you saw humans interact with just classic both Disney and Warner Brothers.
I think that was the big thing. It was Disney. It was all the comic crossover, and everybody's like, "Wow, they actually
can work together." You got to see Bugs Bunny and Mickey Mouse together, which was crazy. And as a cartoon nerd, it blew my mind, to be honest with you. And nowadays, it looked better, but at that time, you didn't think that was going to ever happen. So I'm going to go with Who Framed Roger Rabbit as sort of my emergency number 5. Although Breakfast Club was really close to being in there.
That's my number 5.
Oh, okay.
Breakfast Club is one, and I think for me, it's most of the movies that I picked are the ones that I could relate to at the time. That I could have envisioned myself, not necessarily that I was actually in Saturday detention. Like I got detention once in high school. I brought squirt guns the last week.
So
right before
I was
never
thinking
got
Michael
detention.
Hall. I'm going to guess you're, what's her name? Molly Ringwald. Or Ellie Sheedy. Which one?
I wasn't really like the depressed.
Don't tell me you weren't Emilio Estevez.
No.
You weren't the wrestler.
No. Okay. No, it was just like, you go through high school and you feel like you don't fit in with the rest of the crowd. It's kind of like the little ugly duckling that comes up to be a beautiful swan after the end. You are hungry, honey?
No.
Okay. So I think most of my movies from the 80s I picked because some of them I could just feel as part of one of the characters there. Like I could see myself in that Saturday detention and having the fun doing whatever, trying to break out and things like that. But I think
Smoking the weed.
Probably not. I really didn't know what that was until I went to college. But I still didn't try it. But I think I could just picture myself there. But I think I'd probably still be sitting in the library going, "We shouldn't be doing this."
And I think the Breakfast Club. We all know a person in high school who was the geek,
the jock,
the prep, the basket case, the troublemaker. We could all identify in our class
who were those people. And so, yeah, I'm like, I didn't necessarily watch all the Brat Pack movies type thing, but
me neither. But that one
that was one that
we could all identify.
Definitely.
And I heard a great piece of trivia just recently about that movie. The janitor, did you know they originally hired Rick Moranis to play the janitor? But he wanted to do it with like a Russian accent, and John Hughes fired him.
Okay. Yay. Anne?
Of course, mine will be Dirty Dancing. When this came out, I was not
1987.
Not even a teenager yet. And I wasn't even 10 years old yet. But I remember my mom taking me to the theater to see this because my mom was obsessed with Patrick Swayze.
I can see why.
I was 17.
Yeah. And I remember like just watching the dancing going, oh, I want to dance like that. I want to do that. And then, just amazing. If you have not seen it, on Netflix they have The Movies That Made Us. And the first episode is Dirty Dancing and how it came out to be and how it was produced and just how awesome that movie was because everybody could relate to a certain person in that movie, whether you were Baby or her sister or, the doctor who's fixing everybody. You all had a little piece of something that you could remember that touched you in that movie.
That's in my left-hand side, which was my top 17 favorite. That's definitely in there. And yeah, it's like I could picture myself as Baby, the one that doesn't necessarily fit in with everyone else and wants to be a part of that group and wants to kind of take over the world and
she wants to help people
and things like that. And funny, I didn't know if you knew the trivia of it, but during the scene when they're in the forest on the log, when Jennifer Grey keeps bursting out laughing and things like that, Patrick Swayze was really getting frustrated with her. He was pissed.
He was angry and he was hungry. All because she wanted a cheese tray. Because she was hungry. You have to watch the movies that made us on Netflix because she says the whole thing on how she made him angry because she wanted a cheese tray. And then how he actually fell off that log and hurt himself because he would always do his own stunts.
And I think
how
also
cold that water was.
Yes.
And also with Dirty Dancing, the music.
Yes.
And I think the music kind of pulled our parents in because that music was from their generation.
It was a 60s soundtrack.
For an 80s movie. And I think that was
the two songs.
Yeah.
I do have a confession. That was the one movie of the 80s I never saw. My sister loved it. I've never seen it. It's never held any sort of interest for me, but I do know the soundtrack. And Do You Love Me by the Contours went back to the top
of the charts,
which I found interesting.
I
went I went to the concert. They had a Dirty Dancing concert.
My
I
sister
went to
went.
that.
My sister was there too.
So
It is a great soundtrack.
Yeah.
Anytime like that music comes on the radio or whatever.
And didn't Patrick Swayze win a Grammy for that song?
Yeah, she's like the
Yes.
wind. Yeah.
She's like the wind. Through my heart.
Just ugh.
Okay, Deanna, what is your top 5?
My number 5 is 16 Candles.
Oh, hilarious.
That's on my number
The
4.
80s, if you got through the 80s and didn't see a John Hughes movie, you missed the 80s. He was king of the 80s. And it's just funny. Some parts are relatable. You know, some parts are not so nice in today's society. But, you know, it's a fun movie. And everybody can relate to being that odd person out at a dance. You got a crush. You don't know how to talk to them.
That was me in high school.
Yeah, you know, it's
totally
just, it's
was me.
completely relatable. And that's the best thing about John Hughes movies is everybody can find somebody to relate to in any one of his movies, be it Pretty in Pink or The Breakfast Club, 16 Candles.
Was he Planes, Trains, and Automobiles also?
I'd have to check.
think
I'm not
so.
sure. He
I don't
might
know.
have
That's
been.
on my other side of my list.
I just remember when he passed away, it was like a part of your childhood died.
Yeah. That's a very funny movie.
16 Candles was my number 4. So Breakfast Club and 16 Candles were right around.
That was a hard one between Breakfast Club and 16 Candles for me.
One's funny, one's more... I mean,
Yes, John
Breakfast
Hughes
Club,
did Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Animals.
I saw that movie on my first date, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Those aren't pillows. Sorry. It's an 80s reference. If you didn't know the movie,
Go watch the movie.
Go watch the movie. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Steve Martin. Mm-hmm. And was it John Candy?
John Candy.
Oh my God!
I think part of it was actually filmed in Buffalo too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or Batavia?
Batavia or Buffalo.
Yeah.
They were in Western
It was
New York.
cold.
Yes.
So they used New York.
Shocking.
Shocking. Your number 4?
My number 4 is Moonstruck.
My wife's number 3 was Moonstruck. She just watched it the other night. Was laughing.
I did
like
too.
crazy.
It was on Turner Classic the other night and I watched it. It's a funny movie. It's a rom-com. If it's 80s, you gotta have rom-coms. Mm-hmm. The characters is great. The actors just make those characters come to life and make them completely unforgettable. And, you know, the music behind it is good. And it's a great story. It's a cute story. And, you know, I mean, you think of the star power that was in that movie. Danny Aiello, Nicolas Cage, Cher, Olympia Dukakis.
I could only tell you that Cher was in it. I've seen it. I've seen
Still
it
hasn't
once,
aged.
but I couldn't tell you.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you Italian, whatever, but that's about it.
Yeah.
So it didn't necessarily linger on me, but it makes an impact for other people.
Yeah, it's just, I love it. It's
Did Cher win the Oscar?
Yes, she did. She won the Oscar that year for Loretta Castorini.
Who's next?
Oh, that would be me.
Julian.
The Last Starfighter.
Oh, that was on my opposite side list.
That was my first real movie into sci-fi. Before Star Wars, before anything else, that was the movie that made me go to the library and look up sci-fi. And I just, even when it's on today, like, some of the characters really don't pull through anymore, but it's just perfect.
It's the memory for you that makes
That's
you
the
watch
one that
it.
had they were playing the video game.
Yep.
Right? And
Yep.
then they were
And because he got the top
score.
score.
They were recruited.
Yep.
Yep.
And the fact that none of the aliens were any of the same species and they all worked together was just such a metaphor for a lot of things in life and that during the 80s. That nobody had to be the same cookie cutter, but could always be together and work together. It was, for me, it was very poignant for that. I know, I'm so weird.
Well, you're working with us.
True.
You're part of our tribe. I'm going to have to go for my...
Wait, didn't you? I didn't do my number 4 yet.
Oh, no, because I did my 16 candles, number 4.
Yeah,
Sorry,
number
go ahead.
No, my number 4 is one definitely not on your top 1,000 list. Because,
Phantasm.
No. it's a concert movie because I've always been a huge music geek. There's 2 concert
Floyd.
films on my bigger list, U2's Rattle and Hum, but my number 4 pick was Talking Heads Stop Making Sense.
I remember that.
Academy Award winning director, not for that movie, Jonathan Demme, directed it, and it's an amazingly shot movie, not your quintessential quick cut to different band members. It lingered, a great lighting, and an amazing performance by the Talking Heads. So Stop Making Sense, and it's one I throw in on DVD quite often because I enjoy it. So that's my number 4.
Cool.
Yeah, weirdo. Yeah,
no, I would. Yeah, it would
different.
definitely not be in my wheelhouse that I would even think of a concert movie as a movie.
It was a real. I saw it at the theater, so it's a movie.
A movie.
Yeah,
I remember when it came
Jonathan
out.
Demme directed it, and
I'm not questioning it whatsoever.
And it's not a movie. It's not a like an MTV video shot style movie. It's it's obviously doesn't have a plot, but I really. That's my number 4.
Okay.
That's enough of that.
Well, my number 3s and number 2s both star the same actor, but 2 different movie franchises. So number 3 is Raiders of the Lost Ark. Dun, 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 dun. I'm just like, as soon as I hear the music, I'm just like, ooh, where is he?
Yeah.
I'm just like,
Exactly.
I'm just like, I've been to Disney, was it MGM Studios or Hollywood Studios, whatever it's called now. Dan, what's it called now? Hollywood Studios, to actually go to the Raiders of the Lost Ark stunt spectacular or whatever. I've seen that twice down there when I've been down there, and it's like it's just the action pack. It's not the sci-fi, but it's like it just pulls me in every single time that I see it, and I'm just like, and we're always like quoting different things from either Raiders of the Lost Ark or Temple of Doom or Last Crusade or something like that.
And I was thinking about Raiders of the Lost Ark just actually today, because when I needed a number 5, I considered that, but then I saw your little dot there, so I decided to go with a different
very well could have.
No, but I wanted to go with a different direction. But with Raiders of the Lost Ark, one of the reasons it stands up is because it's a period piece that takes place in the late 30s, early 40s. What's the year? 38?
Like something like that. And
So,
like, that's the rise of the Nazis.
So it doesn't feel like 80s. It's not trapped in 80s sort of clothing and
It's more of like a
grammar
historical
and-
piece.
Yeah.
Which one of those was they were eating the monkey brains? Because
That was
Temple of
Doom.
I have never been able to watch any of them since that one.
Dr. Jones, I touched nothing. I touched nothing, Dr. Jones. Watch Temple of Doom.
Raiders of the Lost Ark is the classic, but I actually enjoy Temple of Doom more.
Well, Sean Connery's in that one, right?
No,
that's
Last Crusade.
Okay, yeah, you're
I
right.
was the next man.
I mean, and
See, they've got some classic lines that people remember.
in Temple of Doom, you had the roller coaster ride through the mines.
Right.
The opening scene with the diamond, that's almost like a slapstick comedy scene.
In
that leads
the Asian club.
Which
to
one
the
had the
life
snake in it?
raft.
Where he fell into the snake?
That's Raiders.
That's Raiders, yeah.
That's why I can't watch that
awesome.
movie.
Very dangerous. You go first.
Nope.
See? I tell ya.
My dad used to always confuse those 3 with Big Trouble in Little China.
Big Trouble in Little China
my
was
gosh.
on my left-hand list, which was like
Oh,
my
that's a
ultimate
great
17
movie.
favorite.
Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell.
Russell is
Yeah.
amazing in that because he's the hero that tries to have the John Wayne like swagger,
Yeah.
but he just is confused. he just seems confused. You can tell he's faking it the entire time.
But yes, Big Trouble in Little China was phenomenal.
Just remember my dad going to Wegmans Video.
I remember that.
I saw it at the theater, and me and like 2 or 3 friends went to see it, and I was laughing my head off at it. And then when it was over and the lights came up and realized the theater was almost full, and I was one of the few people laughing. Okay, people either didn't get this movie or I'm an idiot. And it turned out both.
So, yeah, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Some
Billy's
yummy
number
Harrison Ford.
What's that?
What was your number 3?
Number 3. Oh, we're at number 3 already. Batman.
Oh, 1989.
1989. And it may or may not hold up great today, even though Jack Nicholson was a great Joker.
Genius in that movie.
I think nowadays it would have gotten him an Academy Award nomination because now it's become a thing where it's allowed to. No, comic book movies are allowed to win awards and stuff. But back then, just knowing that a real superhero movie was coming out, which hadn't happened. I mean, there were the Superman movies with Christopher Reeve, but 3 and 4 were pretty terrible.
Yeah.
And
I
so-
can't even tell you if I've seen them.
1 and 2 were great for Superman, but when Batman 89 came out and all the controversy before the internet about Michael Keaton playing Batman, and that still became a thing. Where
I love Michael Keaton as Batman.
Yeah, but when it was announced Mr. Mom's playing Batman.
Yes, I do remember that.
So it was great. And, all the marketing they had around, I had Batman sneakers. And
You still have Batman stuff.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
But back then it was rarer. And for 5 minutes, I got a little cooler because I was ahead of my time on Batman.
There you go.
So
Batman. That's a good movie. Anne?
Return of the Jedi.
Oh.
I had to throw one Star Wars in here.
Yep. Did you like the cute little teddy bears?
Yes.
That's the reason why my friend Mark can't stand that movie is the teddy bears. Jump, 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 jump. The dancing at the end. Sorry.
Do that again? How did that go? There you go.
Are you hands in the background going?
I used to have about 6 different ones that were like 2 foot tall on my bed. And my mom would come in and she'd be like, "Come on, dog, come on," thinking they were the dogs.
Not realizing that they're stuffed Ewoks?
Yes. But it's also the fact that my sister is deathly afraid of clowns and Ewoks.
Oh.
So, the fact that I could put that on and she would just run with all her friends and hide, it was great.
There you go. It was
a sister return.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was either that or, killer clowns from outer space.
Yeah, no clowns.
That movie's hilarious.
What year was that?
I have no idea. It didn't make my list. No. So funny.
This is killer clowns. Yeah, no, probably not. D?
Y'all are going to laugh at this one.
We're laughing at everything.
My number 3 is Stroker Ace.
A race car movie.
Yes, it is.
Why would we laugh at that?
What's the name of it?
Stroker Ace.
Oh, okay. I missed it.
Yeah, Burt Reynolds in NASCAR.
Okay.
It's 2 things. I love it. It's a great movie. It's just a fun couple hours. It's not... You just sit back and laugh at the jokes, laugh at what's going on. But for me, the fact that they actually got 8 real-life, at the time, NASCAR drivers to participate in the movie lended a bunch of credibility to that whole story. It's like, well, they're not going to go take time out of their schedule to do this. And they did it. It's a funny movie. It's fun. And, it was Burt Reynolds, coming off the Smokey and the Bandit. He was riding what he could at that point.
Was Cannonball Run before or after that?
I think it was before.
Because I enjoyed Cannonball Run, but
that was on my top 20.
Okay.
I think it might have been Cannonball Run, Stroker Ace, and then Cannonball 2, which was bad.
Cannonball Run was 1981.
Yep.
Cannonball Run 2 was 1984.
And Stroker Ace was 1983.
Okay. Now, if we were picking movies from the 2000s, Cars would probably land on there, which is 2006.
Probably. Days of Thunder will never make any of my favorite lists. I can't stand that movie. I hate it. Even though it's, people think it's one of the greatest racing movies, it makes me want to hurl. When it's on, I don't. It's like I just pass over it.
I think we have an idea of our worst movies of all time for the future.
Yeah, we have another ones that we will turn off or we'll just never go and see.
Or you go, why did I waste 2 hours watching this in the first place?
Can I get my 2 hours back?
The Tinkerbell movie will be on that one.
I have a surprise. I'm actually going to wait till we do that. I suggest that as a real one because I have a surprise movie I despise with a passion.
Dirty Dancing.
I haven't seen enough of it. On principle, yes.
No? Oh.
No.
Okay.
Okay,
so are we down to number 2?
Number 2.
That's you.
I feel the need.
The need
for speed. Top Gun.
Damn you! That's my number 1. That's my number 1.
Another movie I've never seen.
What?
I'm done. I'm done.
So tell me why you guys like it.
Hot men and fast vehicles.
You didn't sell me.
Cruise is hot man.
You didn't sell me.
Kelly McGill.
Hello, we're not talking Tom Cruise.
Okay.
Val Kilmer back in the day was.
Yeah, he's looking a little rough right now, but
and to this day, I hear you lost that love and feeling, and I immediately go to the scene in the movie. It's like you can't shake it.
Oh.
I can't wait for Maverick to come out because I think it's going to be an interesting sequel to how that movie ended.
It's a long run between movies, though.
Right, it is.
Tom's been a little busy.
doing Mission Impossible and Night and Day and anything else.
Other weird stuff.
Yes. But no, you mentioned that you were watching Top Gun the other night. I'm like, and she's like, I'm watching Top Gun right now. And I'm like, are you at the beach volleyball scene? She goes, I missed it. And then all of a sudden I go, I feel the need for speed. She goes, that was the line that just happened. Then she goes, now I'm crying. I'm like, Goose must have died. Spoilers. Oh wait, sorry, spoilers.
Spoilers, if you haven't seen it, sorry. You don't have to watch it.
No, it's definitely one that, yeah, I mean, it's jumping to my number one. I'll go back to number two to jump on with Deanna's thread. Is you see the little rebel that breaks the rules, that thinks he's hot shit during this whole thing, and it takes a real major life event to kind of really shake him up to the point where he doesn't want to get back into the cockpit of the
when he's chasing his father's ghost too, right? Because his father was the same way when he was in the military, and his father had a reputation. So he shows up, and everybody immediately thinks this kid is like his father, and for a time he is. Yeah. And the fact that he comes to that realization, it took something tragic for it to happen, but it's a fun movie. It is a typical 80s movie.
I mean, I can see them sitting in that bar or the restaurant with Anthony Edwards playing the piano, doing Great Balls of Fire.
Meg Ryan is in that movie
as Goose's wife.
So Tom Skerritt is in that movie. There's a lot of big names in that movie,
right? And just you can picture yourself being a part, whether it's just an extra or being in there. So
and then you add the Kenny Loggins song "Danger Zone," and that just
it's in my head now.
It just adds to it.
As a video,
and I think that's one of the greatest things about 80s movies is the soundtracks that went along with them. I think that's what makes them memorable too.
It makes them memorable, but I hate 80s music.
There's some bad 80s music. Yes,
sometimes it does make a nostalgia. There's a nostalgia.
There's definitely nostalgia to it,
and you can tell what it is. The keyboards in every 80s song.
That techno synthesizer,
synthesizer sound.
Was it the Miami Vice theme?
Oh, Jan Hammer. Yep.
Wow, you all came up with that so fast.
Hey, I watched Miami Vice every Friday night. Don Johnson was hot back in the 80s.
What did I just see him in? I just literally saw him.
Funeral Home?
He may have been. We watched Tin Cup. Because I was
he's in Tin Cup.
He's in Tin Cup, yeah.
Well, he was also in, was it Bull Durham?
No, that was Kevin Costner.
Oh, Kevin Costner. They look alike.
No, they don't.
Kevin Costner's in both. Kevin Costner's in Tin Cup and Bull Durham.
Yes.
Oh, is it?
Maybe
that's
Kevin Costner's the golf pro in Tin Cup.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Susan didn't like that one.
No.
That's one of those movies you either love it or hate it. That's one of those. There's no in between on that one.
Yeah. I enjoyed it.
Tin Cup or Top Gun?
Tin Cup.
Okay.
Everyone loves Top Gun except me, obviously. But.
You're not liking any of our movies.
No, I liked them. I love Raiders of the Lost Ark. I like Breakfast Club. We discussed Breakfast Club.
Okay.
That almost made my top 5.
That almost made your top 5.
So, Ian, what's your number 2?
Labyrinth.
Nice.
Yeah, this was. We obsessively watched the DVD until it wore out. No, sorry, it was that VHS until we had to buy a new one. We knew the whole thing, me and my 2 sisters, word for word. We had dolls. Anything Jim Henson, though. I'm a huge Jim Henson fan. So I have all the original Labyrinth comic books. And now there's a whole new series that has been out for the past about a year and a half, and it's before he kidnapped the baby from the original Labyrinth. So that's really, really cool to have a backstory after 20-something years finally where he came from.
So they did a prequel.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but just always the phrase, "You have no power over me," always just sends chills up my spine.
I was going to say, I think I've only seen it once. I know. And it's not something that I watched in the 80s. It's I saw it late 90s and things hell, I didn't even see Spaceballs until after 2000. So that's some of the stuff that's on my list I can remember seeing in the 80s, but Willow and Labyrinth, I didn't see until later.
Which one was David Bowie in?
Labyrinth.
Okay.
Just him singing in that movie, some of the stuff that happened in the movie. there was some really funny things. Like there was a bog. Does anybody remember the bog? When you stepped in the bog, it farted.
Great.
And it smelled. So they're like, oh my God, the smell every time they would jump in this bog. And there was some really funny parts to it, but then there's some serious parts too about this girl having the power to do what she wants, and all she has to do is realize that she has the power.
Sorry. Okay. That's a totally different movie.
That wasn't really. That was actually 90s.
You're in a dancing mood
I am today. It's the caffeine. It's the cookies. I
What's
don't
your
know.
number 2?
My number 2 is Empire Strikes Back.
It's my number 1.
And it because my number 1 was Top Gun, of course. So my number 2 is Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi landed on my top 17 list of movies. And I think I could just picture myself as Leia during that time. I would just just jump into there and go off on an adventure, and then I think just eye roll and something stupid happens type thing. And it's like, I thought they told me they fixed it. It's like, really? It's like when you need something done, just go and do it yourself type thing.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of person she's like, try to do it, but then it's like, I love you. I know. Yeah. Just say the words, damn it. Yeah.
Anne's
that's
got a bracelet.
Her newest charm is the I love you and I know.
Yep.
Or is it ditto?
No, it's I know.
I know. Say ditto. That's the wrong
For me, the Empire, that's my number 1. It's the first movie I ever remember wanting to go see in the movie theater.
And seeing it again.
And again and again. And I still think I'd seen it twice, and I still remember the second time seeing it. I think my uncle was with me. I'm like, when did they cut Luke's hand off again? He's like, shut up!
I haven't seen it yet! So,
he's like, people around you, shut up!
If you haven't seen it, spoilers. But
it just blows my mind that movie's 40 years old this year.
Yeah.
Now, were you frustrated by the ending the first time you saw it? Did you leave the theater going, no?
I was not. I was only 9 years old, so I don't remember.
Okay.
But as I got older, it was like, oh God, that's why I was grateful that I had the Jedi on VHS, because I'm like, okay, let's pop Jedi and let's go. I want to see how this ends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know where it is, but we actually have Empire Strikes Back on Laserdisc.
Oh my God.
So, and it was a front, back, front, back, front. It was 3 discs, front and back, front, back, front. Because it's like
it's a long
30
movie.
minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and they're like big.
It's just the size of a vinyl record.
Yeah.
And if you ask a lot of Star Wars people about the original trilogy, that is the number 1 out of the first 3.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it was the only one out of the first 3 that George Lucas didn't direct.
Maybe that should say something.
It should if you watch the prequels.
Things that make you say, speaking of the 80s.
Yeah.
So what's your number 2?
My number 2 made a movie star out of a TV star. Back to the Future. Michael J. Fox.
Yes.
Just a brilliant script, almost a perfect script. And hilarious. It's exciting. There's serious parts to it. A great soundtrack. You listen to the news. Both Back in Time and Power of Love from that movie. And a couple really good sequels. I think number 2 is underrated. Yeah. I think in retrospect, the playing with time in the last third of it, where he's his future self and the Marty McFly from Back to the Future, trying to rework that whole. I think it's Back to the Future 2 is great, but Back to the Future 1, the original, is a near perfect movie. So.
And Christopher Lloyd is amazing.
Christopher Lloyd is hilarious.
Oh my God.
The actor who plays Biff Tannen. Why did I just blank on his name? But he's great in it. He's been in a bunch of other stuff, but that's Tom. I forget his last name. I'm sorry, Mr. Tannen.
I still remember
Leah Thompson.
Yes. When it hit, I can't remember off the top of my head the date Into the Future, but it actually hit that date. there was a big hubbub around that date, you know,
and
with the DeLorean. Yeah, was it 2018 or something like that?
Yeah, it was like February 14th.
Yeah.
20, yeah.
Everybody was like, oh my God, it's Back to the Future Day, you know.
Why do we have shoes that don't tie itself?
Right.
I mean, there's a couple dated jokes, you know, the Pepsi free, and how come you're wearing a life vest or whatever.
Yeah.
But in general, it's just a
it stands the test of time.
movie.
It does.
And when I first saw it in the theater, I didn't really, like, my buddies and me were going, hey, let's go to the movies. Oh, we can go see this Back to the Future movie. And I didn't go into it with high expectations and left just in love with that movie. And I've seen it multiple times since then. So Back to the Future is my number 2.
Okay, so what's your number 1 then?
Oh, me?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Another TV star turned into a massive movie star. Die Hard.
And it's a Christmas movie.
It's
Nakatomi Tower, never forget.
40 years later,
Yeah.
that's a debate every year. Is
It's
Die
not
Hard
a debate.
Christmas?
It's not a debate in this group.
It's a Christmas movie,
Yes.
of course
I've never
it is.
seen that one yet, so.
But Die Hard to me is Bruce Willis is great in it. I was a big fan of Moonlighting.
Yes, I was
so to see him, okay, now I get to see him in a movie. He did Blind Date before that, if you remember, the
was a
romantic
bad
comedy.
movie.
It's not a good movie, but I still enjoyed it. I thought it was still kind of funny. Kim Basinger and John Larroquette.
I think they were trying to play off Moonlighting on that one a little bit, and then they realized it was just really bad and just don't go down that road anymore.
I was a huge Moonlighting fan, and then Bruce Willis was great in Die Hard.
Yep.
And Alan
Rickman was the villain.
He became a star.
Yes,
That's
he
a
did.
star-making performance as Hans Gruber. And that to me, nowadays, you still think if a movie comes out, oh, it's Die Hard on a bus. It's Die Hard in a plane. It's
You're right. It's at the standard.
It's the standard for an action movie now. And I still think it stands the test of time. So Die Hard is my number 1.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That didn't make my list, but I do enjoy that movie.
So, and I saw it multiple times at the theater too.
What?
Nothing.
My number 1 was Top Gun. So,
Oh, so my number 1 is The Never Ending Story.
Deanna's like, ah.
The first time I watched it, my dad went to get videos at Wegmans because I had the chicken pox. So it was kind of iconic that the story is about a kid who's homesick and his grandfather was there, and I was homesick and my grandfather was there watching it with me.
Kind of like The Princess Bride.
Kind of, yeah. And I watched it and watched it and watched it. I don't think we ever returned that VHS. I think my dad had to
You
pay for that.
still owe Wegmans money for that?
Probably.
Danny Wegman will live.
Yeah, no fooling.
I love that movie so much. I want a giant dragon to ride or giant dog dragon to ride. I mean, I hear you can ride it somewhere in the Netherlands.
Yeah, I did hear that.
Yeah, I really want to go and see that. Again, you know, it's more like sci-fi light for kids, but I still love it.
And
Yours?
Well, my number 1 is Empire. We already talked about that.
right.
But I have an honorable mention.
Okay.
And because it's got a local attachment, it's Bull Durham.
Bull Durham's a great movie.
Ron Shelton, who wrote it, played for the Red Wings in the late 60s and early 70s and loosely based the movie on his minor league career and travels. So I love that movie. It's a great movie, and there's a lot of truth to that movie. What the minor league system is like. It's definitely not, you're playing pro ball, but you're not playing like the major leagues. You're not in the show.
Mm-hmm.
And that was on my bigger list. And Bull Durham is my favorite baseball movie, and I'm a big baseball fan. And that is my favorite baseball movie, is Bull Durham. So I agree with you there. And Ron Shelton, strangely enough, also wrote Tin Cup.
Oh,
which
that's
we were
right. I forgot about that.
discussing. So, and White Men Can't Jump. No, not that one. Not White Men Can't Jump, which is a great 80s movie, by the way. That's a really funny basketball movie. But
Really? That was 80s?
I think
I
so.
think it was either late 80s or early 90s.
See, that was where it's like trying to figure out
The cutoff point.
Point.
There was I'm missing it. He did do another movie, a sports movie, The Great White Hype, maybe.
Oh, that's it.
So, and actually, I'm going to throw out a honorable mention as long as I mentioned Do the Right Thing. To me, is a great
it's a
movie.
great movie.
Spike Lee, he'd made, I think She's Gotta Have It before that, but Do the Right Thing is a great movie. Danny Aiello again.
Oh, he was great in that
John
movie.
Turturro, and I think that's a fantastic movie.
Well, I had a couple honorable mentions, but you guys already mentioned several of them, so I'm just going to name a couple, which is Pretty in Pink, The Princess Bride.
Yep.
I was
The Princess
surprised
Bride
none of
has
you...
to be on there.
Yeah.
Yes, that's on mine.
E.T., Gremlins, and the Goonies, but of course, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Yes, that's on mine. Did you not get Bill and Ted's?
I didn't write it down. In fact, I like the second one better. I like the second Bill and Ted.
Which one was George Carlin in, the first or second?
I think
Was he in both?
He was in both?
he was in
Okay.
both, yeah.
Oh, I see. Die Hard did land on my other list. So I had two lists. The ones that I really liked, and then the other ones that made me stop and think. One that gets me every single time it's on. Steel Magnolias.
Oh,
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah,
beginning-
I see that.
The first 15 minutes is hilarious.
Yes.
Three-quarters of the movie
Dolly
is...
Parton is one of my
she's amazing.
favorites in that movie.
And,
Julia Roberts.
no.
Was it
Sally Fields?
Olympia Dukakis?
The other one, the crazy one.
The old lady with the dog.
Yes. What the hell's her name?
It's Warren Beatty's sister.
Oh, Shirley MacLaine.
Yeah, Shirley MacLaine is fantastic.
I've never seen it, so
whatever her
need
name
to-
is, Wheezy.
Weezer.
And she says those lines.
Oh, and deadpan. It's just
Go.
I've just been in a bad mood for 40 years.
so. And then when at the end, during the funeral,
When she's losing it in the cemetery.
and whatever, and then you just see how close the women are, as much as they aggravate each other and things like that. You just see
My mom and I can't watch that movie together because it's just there's not enough Kleenex in the house.
All women should have that tribe of women around them.
Yes,
that
they
can
should.
do.
We do.
Oh, we do.
Oh, we do. I've never seen that one either, so I'm
you
sorry.
haven't seen.
Well, that would be a chick
Ask Susan
flick.
if she's seen it.
But Susan's probably seen
I
it.
bet she has. Another one of my favorites. I just watched it a couple weeks ago. The Blues Brothers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, John Belushi, Dan Aykroyd. Sure, it's silly. Hundreds of cars get destroyed, but it's great music.
And it came from a bit on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
Did you know that movie was why Ghostbusters was made? Because Jim Belushi was supposed to play the part that...
John Belushi.
Yeah, sorry, John Belushi played the part that...
Bill Murray.
Bill Murray.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Dan
That
Aykroyd
was
wrote it
written,
for...
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And it was going to be the three of them were going to be in it because of the Saturday Night Live thing. And then he died, and that's how he had to bring some of the actors.
I mean, that was a great movie without John Belushi. Could you imagine with Belushi in it?
Oh, my gosh. But they redid almost everything that Dan Aykroyd wrote, but still used a lot of, he was there in it. It was so much knowledge in that whole Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Not one of my favorite movies, but the backstory of it, I do love.
So a couple more on just the ones that stop me go, either I laugh or makes me think. One, Coming to America. See, I got some giggles over here. 9 to 5.
Yep.
Dabney Coleman, the quintessential bad guy.
Bad boss or whatever.
Yeah.
Parenthood.
I love that movie.
That line has my favorite line in any movie. You need a license to have a gun, but any asshole can be a parent. And I'm like, that is so true.
Is it a battery-powered ear cleaner? Wasn't Keanu Reeves in it?
Yes, he played the boyfriend.
Okay.
He's the one who said that line.
Okay. So that's just like, and the little boy, after the birthday party, in like the first 15, 20 minutes, he comes into their bedroom and he's got the boots on and the little holster and things like that, and the hat, and he's stark naked the rest of the time. And Steve Martin goes, "Hey, you want me to wear that later?" And then all of a sudden the little kid's like, So, see, my coworker, I was telling my coworker about this. She goes, "What?" And she's older than I am, but she's like, "I don't think I've seen that movie." I'm like, "Oh, honey, you got to go get that movie."
That's just a
classic.
And Jason Robards is amazing in that movie as the grandfather.
Here's one that just might be me. This is Spinal Tap.
That's a funny movie. That's a great movie. Yeah.
Especially if you like bands, like if you're a music fan.
And it's amazing that Rob Reiner directed that movie.
Yeah, and Christopher Guest got his whole. It's a mockumentary.
It's a mockumentary about
A heavy metal
band, yeah.
Like its last legs.
I saw that movie in 1992.
Was it a bad date?
It was a Christian camp retreat.
What?
What were they thinking?
I have no idea. It was right after we went on a musical tour with our band called The Crucifix.
We still if anybody's got that video or music, please send it to us.
Please. She was a Christian rock singer.
She says that it's all disappeared, but we don't believe her.
It's all disappeared, gone. But
someone's got it.
They rented this movie for us to watch because they're like, oh, it's going to be awesome. So they got popcorn out and sodas and everything.
It was
out.
awesome.
And it was like 15 minutes in, they turned it off and said, good night, everybody. And that was it.
So you saw 15 minutes of it?
No, my mom let me watch the rest of it later, but I was like, okay. I didn't see anything that bad in it.
Another one of my honorable mention, When Harry Met Sally.
That's a good movie. Funny.
Yeah.
It's I love the fact that they're able to jump time the way they do. They start when they're in college and they just follow them for like a decade. Mm-hmm. And it's cool. It's a cute story. It's a funny movie. And I'm not going to go down the, I'll have what she's having line. We'll just skip that.
Yeah, let's not mention it at all. Tanya lost her headphones.
Do you know that in the deli in New York City, they actually have a sign over the table where it says, I'll have what she's having right here? And you can sit at that table.
Which most people know that's Rob
Reiner's mother, yep.
Yep.
Another movie he directed.
Yep. Very good director. Who knew Meathead would be? Who knew that three of the best directors? Yeah, three of the best directors of the '80s were Meathead, Laverne, and Opie.
Yep.
Hey, I tell you.
What was the female baseball movie? Was that in the '80s?
A League of Their Own.
Was that in the '80s? That was the '90s, I think.
I don't remember. That's a good.
I think it was the '90s because Rosie O'Donnell is in it, and I don't think she had 92. Yeah.
I only got Aaliyah, and then it came up. It's now starting to predict what I'm going to be typing.
Your phone's stuck in the 80s too.
It's okay. No one's mentioned Beetlejuice.
I
love that movie.
Gotta say Beetlejuice.
I hated that movie.
Really?
I tried explaining it to my daughter last week because she was like watching part of it, and she's like, "What are they doing?" I was like, "She goes, are they dead? Or are they not dead? How are they not ghosts? But they're there, yet they can touch things, and some people can't see them. And who's the guy in the fake cemetery? And why are they digging up astroturf?" Like she couldn't grasp it.
Didn't care for the movie at all.
I enjoyed it.
That's another Michael Keaton one, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
How about Ferris Bueller's Day Off?
Oh, I loved it.
That's my top 20.
That wasn't on my list.
I loved it. Although I went with a couple friends who were mad about Ferris Bueller. Goes, why should I be rooting for him? He's a jerk.
I love when they put the brick in reverse, thinking it's going to make the wild go backwards. I was like, that's not going to work.
He doesn't care about his best friend.
If you really look at it now, he's pretty much a jerk to a lot of people in the movie.
Yeah.
But hey.
Gremlins, anyone?
Yeah, I had Gremlins.
Nope.
I love Gremlins and Gremlins 2, and nobody should like Gremlins 2.
I like Gremlins 2, actually. I think it's very good.
You don't like Gremlins?
No.
Don't feed them after midnight.
Or get them wet.
Well, there's a lot of innuendo.
I wasn't going there. Are you into furries?
Well, how do you know when it's after midnight? It's always after midnight.
Somewhere.
Right now it's after midnight.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Yeah. Exactly.
Let's have a margarita.
And mean sense of humor, a fish called Wanda.
Oh, I remember that movie.
Blade Runner.
That was on Randy's top list that he would have to go Blade Runner. Now, see, the thing is, I didn't see it in the 80s. I didn't see it until late 90s after I started dating Randy. So a lot of these.
Seen that, so.
It's another Harrison Ford movie. So
that's probably why.
Yeah. What about Lethal Weapon?
Never seen.
What about it?
Yeah, I remember that. That's like my top 30.
Yeah. It's all right. Actually, I see Karate Kid on your list, Tanya. I see your piece of paper. Good movie. Doesn't exactly hold up.
It will not hold up. Now, has anyone seen the new one? The new one?
Yes.
Like the Cobra Kai TV show?
No, the new Karate Kid movie.
Oh,
I saw the one with Jaden Smith.
Yes, that one.
But then there was the new Cobra Kai one?
There's a TV show.
Yeah.
Was it a TV show or? A series?
Yeah, I hear it's really good. I haven't.
Yeah, I've heard it's good too.
Didn't Ralph Macchio come back for?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
I think
He finally aged.
they've had him tied up in a basement after My Cousin Vinny.
Well, if you think in Karate Kid, I think he was like 23 or 24 years old.
I thought he was older than that.
Maybe. I know he is just such a young person.
Oh, Ralph Macchio?
Yes. Yes. I want his genes. Just to age, not age.
Oh, not his actual
Not
genes.
just actual genes.
No, yeah, I wouldn't fit them.
So I had Karate Kid, and then, as we said, Dan was watching War Games earlier today. War Games was definitely on my list. It's one that... You see, the thing is, I'm not...
I love Tom Hanks in that movie. Big.
Oh,
that was.
It was a good movie.
actually, when was Splash? I love
Splash was the 80s. That was Ron Howard's
Dan's
first
researching.
movie.
I'm
He's our
putting Splash
researcher
at number
today.
5.
You're going to put a Splash at number 5.
Let's start over.
Splash was when I started to want to be a mermaid, and then, The Little Mermaid came out in the 80s.
Then you want to be Ariel.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't go Disney movies.
We need to do the top 10 Disney movies.
Top 10 Disney
Yeah,
movies, yes.
yeah.
So get
Both
Well, wait a minute.
in full action.
Does that include Star Wars movies now? Because technically Disney owns Star Wars.
I say we have to leave the Star Wars out of it.
Okay.
And Marvel. Just go strictly classic Disney.
Before Disney took over the world?
Yes.
Okay.
Didn't Disney own the world to begin with?
Well, but now they own more of the world.
After all, it's a small world. No.
Far too many good movies in the 80s.
There's definitely...
Yeah, the 80s was a really
and
good...
everyone's list is going to be a little different.
Adventures in Babysitting was.
I remember that one.
That was great.
Don't tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. Was that the 90s?
That was the... I think,
I love that movie.
Actually, one that just popped into my head, Say Anything.
That's good too.
With John...
well, you guys can't see.
That boombox in the tech area.
It's right there. Well, kind of.
Yeah.
Nowadays, would that be considered creepy in the Me Too?
Oh, that would be stalking. And then yeah.
Definitely
But how
stalker.
it wouldn't have the same effect holding up an iPod.
No.
Seriously. Or your iPhone going,
Yeah.
Little Shop
Actually-
of Horrors.
I love
Little
the
Shop of Horrors was
Rick
80s.
Moranis was in that.
Yeah.
86.
Suddenly Seymour.
Wait, was Steve Martin the dentist in that one?
Yes, he was. I just finished reading a book called The Wild and Crazy Guys, and it's the story of all the classic comedies of the 80s. I highly recommend it. The Saturday Night
cool.
Live cast and the SCT folks and read a Wild and Crazy Guys. It had the rise of Eddie Murphy, all that. It's all in there, and it's a really good book.
I must go to the library.
That's where I got it.
Caddyshack.
That's in my top 10.
Yeah, the little gopher creeped me out. This little thing hit me.
To go a little more serious, Dead Poets Society.
Robin Williams.
Yep,
Yeah.
that was in there. And Working Girl.
What, did you call me something?
Well, come on, lady.
I love that movie, and I always forget Harrison Ford is in that movie.
And Melanie Griffith.
Risky Business.
Yep. Risky Business.
There's a new Domino's commercial.
Me.
Is anybody
Really?
seen
Yes,
Domino's
the
commercial?
Domino's commercial is hilarious.
Yes, because now
Boogers in it.
Yes, Domino's gives you a 2-minute warning so you can put your pants on when you're dancing around the house, like Risky Business.
Yep. I did not like Risky Business.
I liked it very much.
Rebecca De Mornay, Billy?
Yeah, I love Rebecca De Mornay, and she's still. She was just in the latest season of Jessica Jones on Netflix.
Oh, wow.
She's played the character's mother throughout the series.
Well, I gotta throw my husband's favorite 80s movie in here because if I don't, I'm gonna be in trouble. But Weird Science.
I didn't like it. I didn't love it.
Well,
What about, do you remember The Woman in Red?
I remember it. I don't remember anything about it
No.
other than it existed.
I remember that along with Weird Science. I thought they were kind of one
Weird
and the
Science
same kind of
would be-
movies.
I think when I was talking to Sean earlier, Weird Science was one that would come up on his list.
I believe that.
it's on my husband's list. I mean, he has
He's
it
like,
on,
hello, every teenage boy's dream.
Yeah.
Dan's like, yeah.
I have it on VHS, DVD, Blu-ray.
Just in case something gets lost, right,
Is there
Ann?
a comic book version somewhere in your back porch?
It might be. I don't know what's back there anymore.
And then I know a lot of people aren't necessarily huge Tom Cruise fans, but Cocktail.
You know what? That sparked a huge era of people throwing drinks, and it was great.
Actually, a great sci-fi movie, Escape from New York with Kurt Russell.
Oh, that's a good movie.
Brought up
Yeah.
earlier.
Sci-fi.
Yeah.
And I think I got everything on. And then the other one that's on my list is Flashdance.
Oh, again.
You've heard too much of the music, yeah.
The best part about Flashdance is the cityscape of Pittsburgh.
Oh, because she's a steelworker.
She's a steelworker.
Yeah.
Purple Rain.
Yep. That's
The
a great
movie
movie.
doesn't
haven't
hold
seen
up. Movie doesn't hold up. I saw after Prince died, the Little had a showing of it, and it was sold out. Movie's not great. The performances by Prince and Morris Day and the Time are beyond amazing.
The music
Yeah.
is just amazing. But yeah, the movie is kind of
RoboCop.
Good
No,
movie.
no. That's what happens when an indentured servant dies and they don't get to retire.
Okay, well, on that note,
Wait a minute. Dan, what's...
Me.
That's a great movie.
Stand
what is
By
it?
Me.
Stand by Me.
Stand By Me.
He is fantastic.
Dan, what's your number one 80s movie?
I know there's so many I couldn't choose. I mean,
Yeah, that is hard. I mean, that, you know, like...
depends on my mood.
Right.
and
You're
a
right.
lot of it is
You're
mood
absolutely
dependent
right.
and what kind of mood you're in for. If you want something to laugh or you want a good good cry because you're pissed off at the world or whatever, or pissed off at your
Or you just want to
significant other or
check
whatever.
your brain at the door for a couple hours.
I watched The Terminator. You know.
No. There's like definitely, as people can tell probably by this episode, that anything that was horror-esque or gross or like too gory or whatever would not make my list whatsoever. That never. I'm like I thought
Aliens is a great movie.
I know it was probably a movie in the 90s, but Universal Soldier freaks me out. It's just too
I believe
intense.
it.
And I love Jean-Claude Van Damme, but I'm just like, it's just too much for me. And I'm just like, no, can't do it. And there's just certain ones that I can't do. It's the ones that jump out and too much that something comes slamming through your eye, and I'm just like, oh. And I'm usually burying my face in Sean's shoulder type
I go
thing.
get popcorn.
That's when you go get. I can't eat the popcorn at that point because I'm like, whatever. So at this point, we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll come back and talk about some events that we have coming up, and then we'll do our questions of the week.
Yep.
Please do not put that in part 3. I beg you.
See, now I have to.
I don't like you very much right now. Okay, so welcome back. We finished up our 80s discussion on our favorite movies of that time, and it's now prompted some thoughts to go into movies that we never want to watch again, or movies that don't you even think about offering to us because we can't stand them, that type of stuff, because it's two sides to the coin, things that you love and things that you hate.
I'm thinking not even necessarily bad movies, like all critics hate a certain movie. I'm talking about
ones that you don't want to see.
Yeah, ones that maybe even got critically respected, or you just don't like them for some reason. Not necessarily the worst movies, just ones that rub you the wrong way.
Exactly.
No, that's right.
See, Chris isn't here, so therefore I have to play off of somebody. I don't know. Yay. Okay, we have some events coming up. In a couple weeks, this is going to come out. You guys will see and hear this podcast on February 26th, we decided.
Yes.
Yep.
Ash Wednesday.
Ash Wednesday. So be on the lookout for our Facebook page for the next game night. It's coming up soon. How soon? We're not sure, but it's coming up soon. Join us on March 7th and 8th at the Strong Museum of Play for Superheroes Weekend. Is that right, Dan? Superheroes Weekend. Okay, Superheroes Weekend. I know. And it's a very special day on the 8th. I don't know what it is, but it's
Tanya's birthday.
not that I didn't lead you guys into that. But
So bring cookies.
please don't.
My
Please
homemade
don't.
ones.
Okay.
You can bring cookies.
You can bring cookies. Actually, you can't bring any cookies into to the exhibits. But yes, we'll be at the Strawn Museum of Play, and I believe we have an artist that will be with us.
Yes, we do.
We can announce the artist that we have with us. We have Rob Dumo joining us, and he's got. We love Rob. We won't have his wife with us because they're expecting baby number 2. Mm-hmm. So, and she's due, I think, like this week. Oh, this week or so. So Gabby's going to have herself a little sister.
Oh, boy.
So, Jesse, that's perfect. I'll just, for my birthday, I'll come and take care of the baby and hold the baby all day for you. And you can come to the Strawn Museum. Okay, got it. So, no. Damn.
But yeah, definitely stop by and say hi. We'll have, some stuff for the kids to do. And
we have stickers.
Stickers. I think we might do superhero shields.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Design your own superhero shields, that type of stuff. Maybe if we could talk Dan into bringing the button maker, maybe we could, I don't know.
It was a lot of work last time.
That is a lot of work, but the kids really enjoyed it.
We could pre-make
send me stickers in the buttons and pre-make them.
Ooh. I'm on vacation this week. I can make some buttons this week. Dan's like looking. It's like, that's an idea. Okay. And then, as I said, we're going to have some game nights coming up. April 18th, Saturday, FLX Con at the Quality Inn in Waterloo. We've got some guests that we're finalizing some contracts for them
this week,
and they'll have vendors and panels and cosplay and bears. Oh my!
Yes, there's quite a bit of stuff already,
and
happening.
It's a one-day event.
You
don't have to commit for a weekend. It's a one-day event.
10 to 8, 10 to 6.
I think it's 10 to 4. 10 to 4 or 6. Yeah. I'm not exactly 100% on that today.
But it's at the Quality Inn in Waterloo.
Yes.
So, and then you can go up the street.
Just go there now and wait. Eventually it'll happen and you'll have fun.
And then after the con, go up to Del Lago or whatever.
Or the Outlet Mall. Hang out at the Outlet Mall.
There you go. So there's plenty of things to do down there. And then, come May, we're in talks for a special event before our big event.
Yes.
But that's still in the works. So
and keep looking on the Facebook page because that's where we'll probably make the announcement.
But May 30th and 31st, Flower City Comic Con is coming back this year at the Total Sports Experience. This is our 5th year.
Wow.
Wow, I know. Can you believe it?
That is crazy.
It is crazy. 5 years in the making for something bigger, better, faster, stronger, whatever the Bionic
$6 million man.
Something like that.
More games.
Yes, so definitely more games, more space. We've got a lot of things on our plate that we're planning to have experiences for you guys to do. A lot of attractions.
Bridge simulator.
Bridge simulator.
It's bigger
we have
and better.
that contract all ready to go. So it's the
bigger and better.
It's I want to say it's the Artemis version of the Bridge Simulator. So if those that have done the Bridge Simulators before, when you only had like 5 or 6 people on the console, now you can have 9. So make sure you get your group of people. We'll have information up there in order to be able to do signups. We love Rick, who's come in with his group over the last couple of years. We missed him last year, so we're glad to have him back this year. So be on the lookout for that information. And we got some gaming companies coming in or stores to have that. And, of course, our panels and workshops and cosplay contests and all that kind of fun stuff. So,
in addition to our 2 fantastic guests, Jason Font and Mick Foley.
In addition to what?
Our fantastic guests.
Oh,
that's what they are.
Oh, okay.
We're like,
wait.
Yes, we have guests.
So we have all that other stuff in addition to our guests.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
In addition to our guests.
I thought you were going somewhere else with that.
No. I mean, Mick Foley alone is going to tell some fantastic stories that weekend, and I think people are really, I mean, I know some people have met him before because he's done some appearances at the Red Wings games, but everybody I know who's had a chance to interact with him, just they're so happy when they leave because he takes the time with every person to just have that, 2 or 3 minutes with them.
I have, and he's awesome.
And can I tell you, Sean Stocking is so excited.
I'm sure he is.
Right now to when he's...
Has he got a countdown calendar at home?
I don't know. I'll have to ask him. 'Cause I don't work with him this year. He's in a different building than he normally is, but Sean's been the... PA for Jerry Lawler and Jake the Snake and things like that. So when we announced Mick Foley, I got a text message going, "You need someone for him, right?" I'm like, gee, I don't know. I have a lot of people that are texting me in regards to want that position, so it's going to be up to the highest bidder at this point, I think.
Can you get any recommendations from the people you've been with before? Ask them.
Maybe. I don't know. It's like, do you have any character references type thing? And the characters would be Chris and Dan. Those are the characters. But okay.
Oh, and some characters they are.
They are. Have you seen them on Nerd World News? They were like making polls about should Dan grow a beard or not, and it looks like he's starting.
That's what that is.
It's.
You're fired, Ann.
Anne's like, yes! She's been trying for a year for now to get fired. No, there's only one person that has the power to fire her.
He's right over there.
And he's not going to do it.
No!
Not gonna do it.
Not gonna do it. Okay, so I think those are all of our events that we have going on. I mean, we've got a lot of things going on. We're going in 20 gazillion circles. Mm-hmm. So if we're not necessarily acknowledging stuff on Facebook or whatever, it's because we're doing a lot of things behind the scenes type thing to get ready for May. I mean, it's February now. It's going to be here before we know it. Yep. So, okay, so let's get on to our question or questions of the week.
No. We have one more thing.
Wait, what do we have?
Sponsorships.
Oh, go ahead.
Anybody who wants to sponsor us, maybe sponsor a guest, maybe sponsor an artist, anybody that you would think to like to come in and you want to sponsor us, let us know. We have an email for that.
Is it sponsors or sponsorship?
Sponsors.
At fc3roc.org.
Thank you. Okay, now you can go on. Their question of the week.
Anything else?
No, I'm good.
And don't
sponsor the question of the week.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. If you want to join us, you can sponsor us and then join us here in our lovely studio.
And you can be on the podcast for the week.
Yes.
And make sure that you check out Nerd World News on Mondays. Mm-hmm. Steve will be back for Nerd World News. Okay. So our question of the week, it's a two-parter. The first one, what 80s fashion trend would you like to see come back into fashion? Which one could come back into fashion and would be okay?
Nothing.
Come on, you guys had 24 hours to think of this.
Pegged pants.
What is it?
Pegged pants. Where you would roll the bottoms of your pants up.
Pin roll.
Oh, you call them pin rolls? We call them pegged pants. Yeah.
Pin roll the jeans.
Yeah.
I've gone to like a skinny jean because I like the tightness around the ankle because I don't like the bell-bottomy.
Well, that's kind of that's why you pegged them because they were wide. But yeah, that I could handle. You know, some of this other stuff.
With the sock over it?
No.
The slouch sock over top of it? No? Okay.
No.
Billy.
I'd buy the stirrup pants back.
Oh.
Those weren't bad.
Were those 80s or more 90s?
No, those were 80s.
Those were 80s, yeah.
Those were comfy.
They were comfy. That's the point.
See, I like the bright colors of the 80s. The Hawaiian shirts. Does anybody remember the hyper-colored T-shirts that would change colors?
Yes.
I liked those. I'm a T-shirt guy, though.
Oh, you are a T-shirt guy.
I wouldn't mind. I like the bright colors of the 80s.
Okay. I'll give you that one. Let's see.
You don't have to like it. That's just
what
I like.
I don't know. I'm like, I still...
Big puffy hair, Tanya. I want to see you in a big, curly, puffy hair.
And you know what? My hairdresser yells at me every single week. So she's like, Tanya, you got to come out of the 80s. You got to come out. I'm like, I can't. I mean, my hair's pretty, like, tame type thing. But, yes, I like volume in my hair. But also, I never gave up, really, the scrunchies.
Back.
Scrunchies are back, and I now necessarily have all the big poofy whatever, but I will take a scrunchie and throw my hair back up in either a ponytail or messy bun really quickly with a scrunchie because it feels better on my hair than a ponytail holder because it gives me a headache.
Now, if you have a scrunchie and you like a boy, you're supposed to give them the scrunchie and they wear it on their wrist, at least in middle school.
Oh, good Lord.
I think that was some of the things back in the 80s where people were wearing, and the jelly bracelets.
Oh.
The 20 gajillion jelly bracelets. Dan's shaking his head.
Did you ever weaving them? You used to weave them into different patterns up your arm so that you had them like from your wrist all the way up to your elbow?
No.
Went to Catholic school, couldn't do that.
I went to Catholic school too, but we did it anyway.
We had a Mr. McGuire and a Mrs. Getting. That wasn't going to happen.
Dan's laughing over there. What about a jean jacket, Dan? Could that come back?
I think Dan had a jean jacket that was full of pins in high school.
Was there a Debbie Gibson pin on it?
Maybe.
Probably.
That's why he didn't want to do pins one year for like our little FC3. What is it? 2016. We had FC3 pins. I'm like, oh, let's do pins for our vendors, and he's like, no, I don't want to do pins. And I think he had a bad experience in high school with pins, or just let him.
In the
back.
80s, wasn't it called Flair?
Bling.
Bling.
We had a button day at Aquinas, and I came in head to toe.
I remember this.
I would rattle when I walked.
You knew Dan was coming.
Maybe that's what Chris was talking about. Asked Dan about buttons. Oh.
Yeah.
So
I had the
now.
giant ones that were like this big that were New Kids on the Block faces.
Oh. Did you see the Backstreet Boys are coming back?
I've already seen them, like, too much.
They were on Groupon for like $40.
Back to Groupon. That's not a place you want to be when it comes to concerts like that.
No, StubHub.
That means they're selling really well. And
Yeah.
they're just trying to sell more.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. So everyone said something, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So now, which 80s fashion trend should never, ever, ever come back?
Big hair. We killed
Mullets always look stupid.
We killed the ozone layer in the 80s with the Aquanet.
You know, the bathroom at work still has a can of Aquanet. Don't you have some?
Oh, you have to have Aquanet for dance hair.
For dance hair.
Because it sticks.
Yes.
Doesn't move.
Oh, yes. I had the spiral perm
Oh.
with the wave, you know, where it stuck straight up like you looked like you walked into
Flock
a
of
wall.
seagulls wave.
Yes. Yes, I caught that on fire as an altar server. Holding a candle in front of me and went, they threw holy water on me.
And you didn't burn.
And you're still here.
Wow.
In fact, now she's sainted.
6th grade. It was 1989.
Another one that should never come back is shoulder pads.
You know, I
I
saw...
used to cut them out of stuff. I hated them.
No, I saw something that's like one of the trends that is coming back
Yeah.
is the shoulder pads. Because I was looking at 80s fashion trends
I'll
last
cut them out of the clothes again.
Yeah.
I bought a blazer probably about 6 months ago. And there were not one, but 2 sets of shoulder pads in each side. And I was like, what is this? It went up and out.
What is this? Did Adam Ant design the blazer?
I was going to say, there was a blazer that I wore in like the 90s that I loved that was like green and like a light purple like checked plaid that had...
Whoa.
No, it was, but it was like that hunter green. And it had very light purple through it, so it was a little more classy rather than flamboyant type thing. But yeah, it had shoulder pads in it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you're like out here, and then your waist was really little.
You know what I saw that's coming back that I could never wear again? The pants with like the cloth overalls that went with them. You guys remember them? Like it was like a one-piece jumpsuit, but it was like suspender types
Overalls.
with wide MC Hammer legs.
Oh,
Oh my god.
I thought I was going to say the wide-legged pants were more like 90s, like the really, really big.
I don't know. This was like a jumper thing, and it was flowered, like embroidery flowered, and I was like, oh. And my sister's like, you had that outfit in like 1985, remember? And then she pulls a picture out, and I'm like, oh my god, I really did.
No, I'm thinking the aerobics wear. But with
Dance wear.
Jane Fonda.
The dance
Leg
wear.
warmers.
The leg warmers, no, I could handle it because my legs get cold. But it's the tights, like the neon colored tights with the bodysuit that went over it.
That had the belt
That
on
had
it.
the belt on it. And then everyone's with their white Reebok sneakers. Or their white high tops with the slouch socks. And I'm like, and the headband. It's like that whole aerobic dance wear outfit.
The Olivia Newton-John, let's get physical.
Yes.
I was thinking about the Reebok pumps. Remember those?
I remember the pumps. I used to sell those when I was in high school. I worked at a shoe store. They didn't sell.
Yeah, so, some of those things just couldn't come back. But, I could take a rugby shirt back. I'd
Umbro.
Members only jackets.
Oh, we have one in the closet. You want it? No. My husband wears it when we go out places.
Do you guys remember Rat Tails?
That's what
Real
Randy's...
skinny parade, yeah.
Yeah, party in the front.
Well, Randy's hair was really, really cut short all around, and then he had one strip of hair in the back that was a ringlet ponytail.
My cousin had one the day she got married.
Before we got married, he cut it off.
Yeah.
So, but it was a perfect ringlet.
So, Billy, what don't What do you
What
not
should
want to
come back?
see?
See, I always just wore T-shirts and jeans, so I mean,
You haven't left the 80s.
no, or it's the 70s or the 60s or the 90s. I've always looked the same. So, but I always thought mullets look stupid on guys.
Party in the front.
Yeah.
We couldn't
Business
have them
in
at our
front, party
school.
in the back.
So-
We couldn't either.
I had Catholic school, and your hair, guys' hair couldn't come below their collar.
Yep.
But we all.
Dan's like, yep.
Yeah, I wore a plaid skirt and a white blouse for 12 years.
To this day, I can't wear plaid. I have horrible flashbacks.
Well, see, I went to HFL, so I got to wear what I wanted. So
Well, I hated the fact that the female pants that we had to wear if we wanted to wear pants were the boys' Dickies,
oh,
and they were really uncomfortable.
The boys what?
They were Dickies pants.
really? Really?
I'm proud of myself. I'm smoking.
You are so taking the spot of Chris today, aren't you?
I'm very proud of Billy for this today.
Yeah. Yeah, I tell you. No, it's that company. It's that name brand.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and then the ankle socks. We always had to wear ankle socks
Yep.
or knee socks in winter. We were like, but you couldn't wear shorts under your skirts because they would check. And I was like, what are you talking about? Dang Catholic schools.
Now, was the 80s Zubaz?
Yes.
Okay. Those always look kind of stupid.
Still see those
Are
all
those-
the time. I see them every year at our Comic-Con.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those are
Well, I didn't mean-
the zebra stripe.
If you're listening, I didn't mean you.
No, I think they're super comfortable. I mean, they're like wearing PJs, but you can go outside in them.
Oh, I love PJs.
I was going to say,
You'll still see them at New Era Field in Buffalo.
I
all
was
the
going to
time.
say the NFL sells Zubies or things like that for with their
their stuff.
get it. Her husband's like, get another gallon of milk. Are you sure it's just 1 gallon or another 12?
Don't you have cows?
You're saying, go
Tell them to go in the backyard. Tell them just go in the backyard.
I'm going to milk them right now.
There you go.
So Dan, what should never come back?
I have no idea.
You have no idea.
I didn't pay attention to.
Fashion?
No.
Yeah.
If you saw pictures, you would realize.
Oh no, I've seen pictures. I've seen pictures. There were some mullets working with when you guys got out of high school or whatever with the longer hair, the feathered hair.
Oh, feathered.
The feathered-
Jane Fonda feathered hair.
Feathered
See,
hair.
when you see Chris now, Chris's hair was not even close to being like that in high school. You had to be at the collar.
Yeah.
And if
And
you-
I think that he's rebelling against that now.
I'm pretty
because
sure he is.
It's not at the
Took him 30 years to rebel.
he's been rebelling since
well, he's inside.
June
He's
of
been
88.
rebelling, so he's been rebelling. Okay.
And starting next week, you girls are dressing up like Cher in the If I Could Turn Back Time video.
No.
Isn't the clocks go back? I think March 8th.
yeah, they do March 8th. Yay!
No, spring ahead. They don't go back.
No, you're right. Spring ahead, sorry.
Fall back. Spring ahead. Okay.
Whatever.
Any other comments in regards to the fashion trends?
No, most of them just stay there because you look at it now and you're like, what in the hell are we
granted,
thinking?
I do like that 80s party or whatever that
It was last night. Yeah, it was totally last night.
right, but there
I'll
was
do
one
a
at the
party once in
5
a while, but on a daily basis, not happening.
Like we'll do like an 80s day at work for Spirit Week type thing, and I have a purple T-shirt that is oversized that I have cut that kind of drops off my shoulder, and I have a tank top underneath it because it has to still be school appropriate.
So I think nowadays, women and girls can get away wearing anything and make it look like they did it on purpose. Like
That's
you go out in public dressed any way you want. And
Next 80s day you want to borrow my earring? I have that crucifix that comes down to here.
Ooh, the Madonna crucifix.
I got suspended from
I'm
school.
sure you did.
That was my very first detention.
And the one thing I won't wear is like the mesh top over whatever from like the Madonna's type.
I mean, I have a picture at home of my brother. I think it was an Easter outfit. He's got a white suit, black shirt.
It's like that
It was the Don Johnson look because he's got my father.
pastels, yeah.
He's got the sunglasses on, and I'm pretty sure he's got a BB gun in his hand. Thinking he's Don Johnson, and he was only like 11 years old.
Anybody wants to come and go through my husband's closet and borrow clothes from the 80s and take them, please do.
He hasn't come
He
here to
hasn't
the
cleaned the closet
21st
yet.
century.
No, he has brand new clothes in the closet with tags on from the 80s that he's never taken the tags off of.
Wow.
We could put that in the comic book museum that they're going to build.
He's got
On your
this
property.
Oh, he has this one shirt he wore. It is senior pictures. It's a silk shirt with the collar that pops up and everything, with the members only
collars.
jacket.
Oh my God.
And I've thrown it away twice, and it's reappeared twice.
Clearly, you're not doing a good enough job throwing it away.
I don't take it to work.
So next time you just have to hand it to me when I'm there, and I'll just take it, whatever.
Put it next to your Valentine's Day card.
Might be a good idea.
Yeah.
Stick it in the towel barn. Get towels in the barn. Stick it in there and see what happens.
Yeah, that's where it came back once.
He found it.
And he was like, "Well, how'd this end up in there?" Jessica's dance clothes were in there too. I'm like, "Oh, whoops."
Okay, on that note, this has been another episode of Monkey Business, a product of the Mighty Monkey Corporation, purveyors and producers of Flower City Comic-Con. Really? Coming at you May 30 and 31st at Total Sports Experience in Gates. Have a nice weekend, and we will see you soon. Smack you. Bye.
Dun, dun.